The Indianapolis Colts last night defeated the Denver Broncos in overtime 12-9. That happened. A game happened, it took place, and I believe one of us on this show is a little spicy this morning. It has a little bit of spice going on. It's the man who just briefly shook his head. Aaron, your thoughts on this game last night?
Well, first, I want to say this because I am always on the other side of what we're about to get into. I'm always the guy, people come out, oh, that was the worst football game ever. It was so boring. Well, first of all, I have never really seen a boring football game. I'll be honest. I'm a huge football fan. I don't watch football and think boring. So I'm not going to call that game boring. But normally I'm the guy that's like, oh, you think a bad football game is because they only scored 12 points and 9 points, like the defense doesn't play football. So I'm always on that side, right? I'm always the guy defending the game itself and, pumping up the defense that's played well. Last night's game was the worst football game I've ever seen played, personally, with my own eyes. And I'm dead serious about this. The absolute worst football game I had ever seen. It wasn't the defenses being great. It was all the mistakes. It was watching two, quote, potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks looking like they had no business playing football. It was the drop passes. It was the poor routes that were ran. It was the offensive line play. It was the no running game. It was the coaching. It was everything in that game was poor. That was like watching one of those USFL, CFL type games where you're trying to find one player that stands out so they can make the league. That's what it was like to watch that NFL football game. It was a poorly played game. And I'm sorry. And then at the very end of the game, it's going to overtime. And I'm like, Jesus, we actually have to watch more of this poor performance. Then at the very end, they say, well, join us next week when the Washington Commanders are going to play the Chicago Bears. And it just made me cringe and my stomach started turning. We're going to get into the details of the game, but I am so irritated at the two teams that many people had high hopes for. And the showing that they put on last night. And I don't care who won. I don't care that the Colts won. I don't care that the Broncos are 2-3 and they're still in it. It was absolutely terrible of a football game.
This is that conspiracy theory, talk about Walmart. I mean, shout out to Denver Broncos, owned by Walmart basically. So I mean, it kind of fits and ties into what we were talking about here. But that game, the game was miserable last night. It was miserable from start to finish. It was the first time since 1987 that an NFL game featured multiple picks, multiple sacks, multiple fumbles, and 0 touchdowns. It was since 1987 that first time. I can't even begin to really talk about what the mess that we saw last night. AJ, did you have any positive takeaways from last night's game, or are you on the same boat here as Aaron, where it's just that was poopy?
I mean, it was positive that it ended. I was very happy when it was done. I would struggle to find some, honestly, man. Like, it's positive that football was on TV. I think it's positive that Matt Ryan's not a Falcons quarterback anymore, but even then,
I'm surprised you didn't say it. I tried to tee you up for this. I tried to tee you up for a positive takeaway from the game because there was a positive takeaway from an AJ Johnson side of things. From an AJ Johnson,
that's not actually true. Don't say it. It's not true. Don't say it. I'm going to roast. It's not true. Just stop being the box score guy. Don't say it.
Oh,
it's not true. It's not true.
I watched the game last night.
But you're going to say it, and it's not true. I'm telling you, it's not true.
What am I going to say?
You're going to say Alec Pierce had a good game, and he did not.
I wasn't going to say he had a good game.
You're going to say he got yards? He got receptions?
I was going to say that he got the targets and he got the receptions. And after the game, Matt Ryan was talking about how much he trusts him and likes Alec Pierce and how much he is a dog. And I think that's the
positive. Does it matter who Matt Ryan trusts right now? Really?
Hey, hold on.
You're going to get me so fired up.
Hold on here. You're at a 10 right now. You need to be at
I'm going to go to 12 if you keep going down
fine.
This line.
That's fine. It's good for ratings. It's good for ratings. But also in a game where there was so much garbage,
that's the
literal
issue.
Garbage, there has to be some type of silver lining.
No, there's
but
not.
it took. But
no, there's not.
Okay, so but if I was excited about Alec Pierce, which I was, and I do think he's a talented player, and I do think as time goes on he'll get better. But it took that type of game for them to finally let him loose because nothing else could be done like that. Sure, so it's positive for him that he got his hands on the pigskin, but what came of it? I mean, more field goals. That's all that came from.
The thing is maybe now, because we talked about going into this game, one of the stats we talked about was the stats of Matt Ryan when passing and targeting Michael Pittman versus everyone else, and it wasn't great. So maybe now moving forward, the Colts can have something here. Maybe they have something.
Alec Pierce. The only reason Alec Pierce had catches last night is because Pat Surtain was on Michael Pittman most of the night. First of all, that's the first thing. Otherwise, you notice on most of those Alec Pierce passes, it was Matt Ryan holding onto the football, moving up in the pocket, and searching for a guy. Yeah, it took Alec Pierce 15 seconds to get open. That's why he caught so many balls. Second thing, he fumbled. That was a bad play. Third thing, he actually ran 2 routes the wrong way, and Matt Ryan's throwing to nobody because of it. Like, yes, he ended the box score with 8 catches or whatever for 70, 80 yards. Cool story, bro. This doesn't mean he actually played well. He didn't play well. He just happened to be a product of getting the ball.
And I didn't say he had a good game. I didn't say he had a great game.
I said the silver lining, there was one good thing, and you were wanting AJ to say his name.
And literally, basically, when you, and I'm going to make a very disgusting analogy here, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's the first thing that popped in my head. You know when you have those Taco Bell shits or like Mexican shits, and you're trying to find some hope
Taco Bell?
and some hope here, and you're finally finishing up. And then there's your silver lining that
you should have thought better of it when you saw Bailey type it in the chat. That should automatically deter you from saying anything about that person.
It needed to be brought up. It needed to be brought up and discussed. And I'm glad we did it. But other than that,
talk about Matt Ryan and them now. Can we talk about the quarterbacks, please?
We're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk about the game itself and where these
the quarterbacks.
Okay, let's talk about the quarterbacks. What do you want to say about Matt Ryan?
This is all okay. Matt Ryan, first of all, retire tomorrow. Today.
I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to do it in the middle of the game.
He should have pulled Vontae Davis and just walked, or
last night,
or an Andrew Luck, And
in the newsroom, those words verbatim came out.
I get Matt Ryan won the game. I get he led the drive late to win the game. He needs to retire. That man is old. That man is washed. That man takes more sacks than Sack City. Like he got more sacks than Sack City. Like he took his team out of field goal range or out of scoring range like 4 times yesterday. One of them was like 3 times in a row. He just sack, and he just didn't throw the ball. And I get it, your offensive line didn't play that great, but you also held on the ball way too long, knowing that your offensive line did not play great. Matt Ryan was atrocious last night. He's been atrocious all year long. And somehow, some way, they got 2 wins, one against Kansas City, which we know that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
The Chiefs beat the Chiefs.
Exactly. I don't know. This is why Atlanta did the right thing. I don't care what Marcus Mariota does or what. They moved on from the quarterback when they needed to. He is not Aaron Rodgers. He is not Tom Brady. He needs to let it go. Matt Ryan's done. He's washed. Congratulations on a great, successful career. Don't ruin what you've done by staying around too long. I'm just telling you right now, he needs to go. He's not it. And then I want to say Russell Wilson. We hopefully are going to be putting out some videos about Russell Wilson that I had brought up. Me and AJ had a debate about Russell Wilson and Hall of Fame and whether he was a Hall of Famer or not. I've always been a Russell fan, but I am not as high on Russell Wilson as a lot of people. And I'm slowly getting to why I'm not as high on Russell Wilson as a lot of people. He has a lot of holes in his game, and he was able to get over for them and over. Right now in Denver, he's being exposed. And it's hard to say, but Russell Wilson is being exposed, and he is part of the problem. He is definitely part of the problem. We can talk about Nathaniel Hackett all we want, and that's fine if you don't believe in Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach. But as an offensive play caller, he's never had a problem with calling plays. He's actually very well respected in the NFL. And I always find it funny that when an excellent play caller, now plays are not working, they want to make it about the coach because we have so much respect for the quarterback. Russell Wilson missed open guys. Russell Wilson was inaccurate. Russell Wilson was late throwing to his receivers.
Forcing the ball.
He played so poor. And I said he didn't play that bad week one in the second half, especially. But since then, it's been pretty pedestrian play. Like it's not what you expect from a franchise guy. Now, is he still one of the 32 best in the league? Yeah, I'm not going to go that far. He's better than Baker Mayfield, but he hasn't done what he's supposed to do. And I said he had the most pressure coming into this year. He's not living up to it so far. Right now, that pressure is just building and building and building. And our conversation was about legacy. And Russell Wilson has no legacy right now. There's no legacy there. He was just a good quarterback throughout some time in Seattle who happened to win a Super Bowl.
It's really what it feels like. What I'm astonished at is his red zone play. Like that was one of the things that used to be in Seattle a bread and butter of his. And it looks like when he gets in the red zone now, he still wants to throw a deep ball. I don't think I've seen a quarterback inside the 20 hit the back wall on more throws than Russell Wilson has this season. And I'm not sure what it takes because you have a big body guy in Cortland Sutton. You have a great route runner in Jerry Jeudy. The Albert O conversation we had, he's been non-existent. Who was it that said start Beck yesterday? So close, and he dropped it. That was just really great defense by Kenny Moore. I don't understand what's going on in the red zone. And are these guys really suffering from their running backs going down? Like it looked like they lost their two stud running backs on either side and had no idea how to play football. The pass game was anemic. The decision-making was anemic. The adjustments never happened. Even the defense that was playing quote-unquote good and causing turnovers, besides interceptions, there was, I think, 6 fumbles in this game. None of them were recovered by the defense. Like, how does that happen? Like, that's not a normal thing you're going to hear in a football game. There's a lot. Even if they won that game, I feel like your power rankings would still have Denver dropping this upcoming week. Like, it...
I said it though before this week that this game was going to be a very telling sign for me because I thought the Colts were a bad team right now. Yeah, I still do. And I said Denver had to go in here and make a statement in this game, and they did not. Even if they had won that game, they did not.
Not only did they not win the game, they lost themselves the game. Like I guess you don't want to go into overtime because you thought you finally had a good drive and you go for it on 4th and 1. And honestly, like I get it, but you missed a wide open KJ Hamler, and you know that happens in football. But for Russell Wilson, a veteran in this league, in that moment, that can't happen in football. Matt Ryan played horrible all game, but when they had the opportunity, he was able to lead them down the field and get the game-winning field goal, as ugly as it was. That can't happen. If you're gonna go for that 4th and 1, I don't even remember what it was, but
it was 4th and 1. And I'll be honest, you know me, I'm okay with going for it.
That's fine. I'm okay with that too.
But I'm gonna tell you, watching that football game in that moment, I wasn't because I don't know if you would. Because I don't know if I would have because the way my offense had looked all game long. And I didn't have the one guy on my team that I felt like I know I can get 1 yard with, and that's Javonte Williams. So in that moment, I was like, oh man, they got to kick the field goal and hope their defense wins it for them because their defense played absolutely great. Mm-hmm. Like they did. They played great. I don't care about Matt Ryan's late drive. I'm like, dude, your defense held them to basically 6 to 9 points the entire game. That's not on your defense. And yeah, it's a bad offense, but I expected that. But that offense lost in that game. But in that moment, I was like, I'm not questioning Hackett's decision on that because I think a lot of coaches would have went for it. But I was like, if it was me and my offense was playing like that, I probably would have just kicked the field goal. I would have.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel you.
These two teams are.
I remember back in week 1. And we're gonna travel down the road here from week 1 on. And I know, like, you want to give them time, and I gave the Colts time. I didn't do it with Denver. I was wrong to give the Colts time. I was right to be worried about Denver. Seeing what was on the field, I said Russell Wilson something was wrong with Russell Wilson. And through the first 4 weeks, it was like, okay, we're still giving excuses for Russell Wilson, thinking he was something that he has not been. I'm not saying the past aside, what he did in Seattle aside, He is now a $250 million quarterback here in Denver. This is something that it doesn't matter what you did in Seattle. You bet on yourself to come into Denver and be the solution here, the quarterback away, and you were supposed to be that quarterback, and that's not what happened. And what happened in that week 1 game, or was it week 1 when they played Seattle and they went for the 64-yard field goal and lost or whatever? Like, we talk about putting the ball in Russell Wilson's hands when it matters. They didn't do it then. They do it here, and it doesn't pay off. And you literally, the play call wasn't a bad play call. I have been a big hater. I've been not on board of Nathaniel Hackett this season. That play call at the end of the game was not a bad play call. KJ Hamler was wide open, and I didn't think that Cortland Sutton in the end zone there was a bad play.
No, Sutton was actually open. He threw it too late.
Yeah, if you look at what Russell Wilson did there, it just was all bad timing, a bad throw, and it just didn't look like he was. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, and it was a great play by Stephon Gilmore, and that's really what I should have said. The silver lining is Stephon Gilmore. Shout out him. Last year on that day, he was cut by the Patriots, and then come back this year. He's with the Colts, and he's playing well. But that's beside the point. Russell Wilson here is. I'm just not crazy about, and so far I think we're all on board sounding the panic alarms for both these teams.
Oh, you have to. There's no way right now. The current Denver Broncos, the Colts are done. I will say this:
are they the worst team in the AFC West?
Denver
Broncos?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're bad.
Okay.
Offensively, they're not enough.
Because I asked this question yesterday to some people, and people were talking about it's still the Raiders that they're 1-3, and I'm like, that record is not. Does not tell the whole story of what the Las Vegas Raiders are, and the record for Broncos does not tell the whole story of what they are, and that's where I'm at with that. So
absolutely, the Denver Broncos. I will say this though about these two teams. Matt Ryan's 38 years old. He looks like Dunny, like he can't play football anymore. Like that's how I truly feel about that. If you're Denver, you have to have this hope that Russell's still young. I mean, he's still capable enough to play the game. There's a disconnect here in that offense. And I don't know if it's Russell just not really being comfortable in this scheme or unsure or whatever it is. Maybe he's Hollywood now and he just wants to be with his family. I don't know. But do I have hope that he can get back to at least being a solid quarterback? I do. I'm not going to say the man is never going to play good football again, but there's definitely some soul searching that has to go within that offense, within Russell Wilson himself, and he took the blame, and that's fine. But you have to translate that blame to being, okay, now I got to go do it on the field. So, but yes, right now the Denver Broncos have no shot at competing in the AFC. No shot at all right now. Not the way they're currently playing. The defense is absolutely phenomenal. They're great, but you can't hold up that long against good football teams.
That offense is too talented. There's too much talent on offense to put up 9 points. I know
they just lost Garrett Bowles for the season, so that's not going to help.
It's wild. I never in preseason. I did not see this coming. Like losing games is one thing, but not having an offense with all that talent, I could not predict that for the life of me.
Yeah, I didn't see any of this coming for either side of the team. But Aaron, you brought up the injuries. So the Broncos lost Garrett Bowles. On the Colts side, Nyheim Hines left the game early with a concussion. It did not look good. I think that it's positive signs for the league and the concussion protocol for Nyheim Hines not to go back in this game because after what we saw from Tua, it was a similar situation from that Sunday game against the Bills where he was stumbling and bumbling. And obviously everything is a case by case and it's completely different. But it was good to see Nyheim Hines not be back on the field in the sense of let's get him right and not risk anything, any further damage.
Most of the time you see that, they don't come back in the game. It was
the
quarterback that they felt. And with Tua, it was like, hey, that's our chance to win. Like, it was a different position. I don't think you would ever see that. Most of the time, somebody walk off the field like that and come back in the game in most situations. Tua was a different case because we know what the quarterback position means to the NFL. And that's what made it stand out so much, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But, of course, Nyheim Hines needed to stay on the sideline.
Yeah, and that he did. And again, Garrett Bowles also done for the season for the Denver Broncos. That does it, though, for our Thursday night football recap. Aaron, you won the DFS in terms of our group. You did not win at all, though. You did not come in first. That was another tough week in the DFS world. I believe you came in 26. AJ, you came in last.
Trash.
But yeah,
Naheem Hines was my captain. 3 snaps.
not good. My captain was great. I had the Denver Broncos defense as my captain, but then I also had offensive pieces from both sides of the ball that were not a kicker. So that's how that ended up. But all right, that is it for our Thursday night recap.